This is not the end. This is a new super beginning. I promise you. The Dirty Truth with Deante Young is going on pause, and it might be done for good. But never say never. I'm going to tell you something right now. God put this on my heart. I've been led in a completely different direction to serve you better, to give you value that you won't believe.
It's a dirty truth with Deante Young. Hit the main course, yeah, the entree done. Pull up on the gang, all the fly day ones. Tune in, come and see what Deante done. It's a dirty truth with Deante Young.
The Dirty Truth with Deante Young started March 28th, 2025. This is actually episode 31, and I'm so proud of what this has been. The first season had 25 episodes. This is the sixth episode of season 2. But I'm telling you right now, God is in this plan, and I have a brand new podcast. I can't talk about exactly what it is, but I'm going to tell you one very important thing. The new storytelling framework that I have developed is going to change the game for everybody. And you can rest assured that you have not seen the last of Deante. But I do want to give a shout out to the people that appeared on The Dirty Truth with Deante Young through the course of this season. And I just think back to that first day, March 28th, when we launched with 3 episodes at once. We had Nina, who goes to my church. She's an awesome lady, can sing her butt off, and she spilled her dirty truth like no one's business. And I admire people who have that ability to be unafraid what other people will say about their truth. Then we had Zach. Zach is the cerebral palsy vigilante. And he's a guy that I met a few years ago, but he has the greatest spirit of anyone that I've met in quite some time, maybe ever. And Zach talked about what it's like living with cerebral palsy and people looking you as being different. He said people say, "Why do you walk funny?" But I'm going to tell you right now, he's the one that's always going to have the last laugh. Love Zach. And he's an author and a marathon runner. I want to give shout out to Billy Badass, the person that holds it down in my life. And she's also the co-host of The Dirty Truth with Deante Young. She came on in the 3rd episode that came out that first day, and she talked about the horrible situation she dealt with as a child and as a grown-up when she was forced into getting an abortion at the age of 15, and the year before that, she was raped by someone in a completely different situation. And then she talked about how she was very suicidal when she got older and didn't want to be here anymore. That takes bravery, courage, and strength. And then there is my great friend Denise. Denise, she came on and she showed out. She said, don't criticize someone for something they can't change within 10 minutes. That was powerful. She's the kind of person that I can listen to her talk all day, but she talked about her childhood and some of the things that have torn her apart. And yet she has the sweetest disposition of anybody you ever want to meet. That was one powerful show. And then there is Shonda, great friend Shonda. Shonda spilled her dirty truth like no one's business as well. She talked about being in the military, getting raped. She talked about how she was ready to commit suicide, tried to commit suicide, but her mother stopped her. And then years later, her mother committed suicide. She talked about her horrible marriage. She talked about all kinds of downs and ups and downs. She is a champion because she owns her dirty truth and she is thriving and surviving. And then there was Steve. And Steve, to me, was the most tragic, devastating episode of the series. Steve came into my life May 23rd. We did the interview May 25th. He told me that he had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. His wife, Melissa, was there with him. And then he said they gave him 14 to 16 months to live. This guy is 44 years old, 3 kids, one of them a 5-year-old son who's darling. And then Steve, while Billy Badass and I were on our 9-day cruise, He dies just 12 days after that interview. It was heartbreaking because even after only being around him one time, I saw him as my cousin. I named him and Melissa my new cousins, but he was just gone in an instant, and it's heartbreaking because his life was just getting on track. But that was a powerful, gut wrenching episode. I'll never forget it. Then there's Eben. Eben is a guy who went on record and said that going to prison saved his life. He is now a social media superstar, has about 4 million followers across his platforms, and he is a very inspirational person. The guy can he can stand next to anybody and compare stories, and he can compete with anybody's stories because his story is powerful. It's one of resilience, determination, responsibility, and greatness. And oh, by the way, a very God fearing man. You can't beat that combination. Love Eben's story and how he takes care of his family. That's the thing. Then there is the memorable episode with Angela. Angela grew up in the foster care system, and she suffered so many different mental anguishes and things that she had to overcome and deal with. And she is teaching her kids a much better way than she was taught. But she was so focused on just being a help to anyone that's in that same situation. Loved her episode. Miss Britt, she is on the podcast Beauty Told and also on the Pull Up Experience. Awesome, awesome young lady. Very, very talented, gifted to the max. And she talked about her experiences in relationships and how being cheated on sucks. I think we all can agree with that. But she is so insightful. She is so nuanced in her explanations of things. And she is for sure an influencer because she's been there and done that and done there and been there. So, Miss Britt, you were phenomenal. Then there's my best friend Jermaine. Jermaine came on and he poured his soul all over the platform, and I'm glad he did because from the time that this decade started, 2020, the 2020s, his life has been going downhill in every conceivable way you can imagine. And he's a guy who is as good as it gets when it comes to men. And the fact that he contemplated suicide and he credits me with saving his life, but to God be the glory. And then he also talks about how his mom was dying from breast cancer at the same time he was losing his almost 15-year marriage. And both situations happened concurrently, and it devastated him, and he never got past it. Still to this day. How can you? And that's only the tip of the iceberg. So his episode was powerful. The most important thing is that he was able to show that men need to show more vulnerability because we need to make the world a safe space for that kind of stuff. We don't have time for toxic masculinity. That's how I feel. And then there's Amy. Amy was the victim of rape at the age of 3, sexually assaulted at 3, and it led her into a world of promiscuity, raging drug addict, raging drug addict and addiction, being a raging alcoholic, anything you can name. She spiraled, but she was brave enough to talk about it and own it. And for that, I admire her deeply. And she is a very driven person. She is carving out her part of the world, and she's doing so very successfully, piece by piece. Then there's Melissa, Steve's widow. She came back on a few months after he died, and she talked about how much she loves Steve, how much she misses Steve, and she explained that while she loved him with all her heart, it was a an uphill battle dealing with some of his worst tendencies. And the way she worded it, it could be seen as controversial by a lot of people. However, I admired her fearlessness in saying things that she would probably be getting like destroyed for. But it was her truth and I understood it. And what she did, she just told it straight out. It's my time to live now because she was babysitting her husband, who she loved, But sometimes love is only part of what's needed. And then there's Harold Crawford, 55 years in show business, legendary Hollywood costumer, has been a Clevelander for the past 21 years. This guy is phenomenal because right now I am working on his memoirs. We are in the early stages of working on his memoirs. But this guy has done over 100 film, television, and stage productions, and he has been extraordinarily successful. The stories that he has, it's just you can't even put it into words. But he came on and he talked about working with Muhammad Ali, working with Paul Winfield about on the Martin Luther King miniseries. Talked about working with Chris Rock and Terry Crews. Talked about working with Red Fox and being friends with Red Fox. It was truly, truly an honor, and he really just let me know what resilience is because being a black man in any form, but especially in the cutthroat world of Hollywood and show business, and for him to still be thriving and in the business at age 76, 55 years later, yeah, that's some greatness there. Tom Licks, finally, he is the proprietor of the Cleveland whiskey, and I found him to be fascinating. He is such a great example of perseverance and stick to itiveness. I love how versatile his story is and how great of a whiskey that he's building, whiskey company he's building. The whiskey that he gave me, it was mind-blowing. And I just loved his story and how he loved his wife and how he misses her and also what he did during COVID. So those were the top people that was on the Dirty Truth with Deante Young. But I'm here to tell you, this is definitely not goodbye. This is I will see you very, very soon. And just let me tell you this, you won't believe what happens next, but you will love it.